brokesies of your wedding? Ew, that's lame.
Champagne taste on a beer budget.
That's me.
It was me too. I mean, I guess in my situation, it was me. You know, my fiance, I guess at the time, met. We didn't know each other long, fell in love. We wanted to get married very quickly. My parents weren't prepared, and I guess I didn't want to stress them. I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to have a champagne budget on a beer a champagne taste on a beer budget.
Right.
So I did a destination wedding. You know, I did one of those one-stop shops. You know, we went out there, we got married. Whoever could come, could come. Whoever didn't. It was no stress, it was no worry. And we did it for very inexpensive and accomplished what we were there to do, which was get married, so.
Well, we as planners, I don't know, I love the phrase, I saw this on Platinum Wedding.
And I'm like, uh-oh, here it comes. Here comes Preston Bailey and his flower arrangements that are, you know, $100,000 per arrangement.
But I think that most of us don't have the Platinum Wedding budget.
Correct.
Right.
So
it's not the norm in the wedding business anyway.
Right.
It's a
fabricated.
TV thing.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Right.
It's on TV.
And sometimes they're great ideas that we can pull from. As
Exactly.
planners, I can look at Platinum Weddings and go, oh, that's a great idea. I could do that less expensive buy.
Right.
However, to duplicate most of the things on Platinum Weddings is not possible.
Right.
It's
On a certain
unrealistic.
budget.
Right.
Yeah. See, and that's where, I mean, my whole situation came in. It was realistically not possible for me. And instead of living, you know, months and months and months unrealistically, I just accepted it. You know, it was what it was. There was no getting around it unless my parents won the lottery. It was what it was, you know? And so it was like I chose to be realistic about my situation.
Same with
and
me.
I did what I had. I did what I could do with what I had to do with.
Now that's
you know?
very rare.
Very rare.
No,
I
but
know.
Very
I did
rare.
it too.
Yeah, but that was like 58 years ago.
Penny,
So I'm trying to.
We're perfect from every angle. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, seriously.
I'm just kidding, babe.
We didn't have any money, and my parents didn't have any money, and
Right.
it was his second marriage,
Right.
and so we did a room in a bowling alley and had a friend cook the food, and I literally carried greenery and baby's breath many years ago.
Baby's breath was popular.
Yes, it was.
Told you
But
it was 58
I gotta
years
tell
ago.
you, my wedding reception, we had a great time, and we'll be married 18 years this June.
And see, but that's what I mean. And Tiffany,
Yeah, almost
she's,
9.
that's, you know what I mean? So it's not, just because of the look of your wedding is not going to base your entire rest of your life.
Right,
off
that
of
is
what
the
it
important
looks like.
factor here.
You know?
That is the important factor here.
Right.
Really, it is.
Being realistic also.
Yes.
I mean, when you come in and you're ready to start all the details and you've seen all these magazine clippings, just be realistic and say, I have this budget.
Yeah.
You know, what
Or
can I do
if you
with it?
don't know and you have no idea what this kind of arrangement costs, Google it. Figure it out. Figure out how much
Planners.
something like this costs.
Yeah.
If
Do
you
you know?
talk to a planner, I think the first thing that all of us do is do a budget.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys have worked with budgets from here to here
Oh, yeah.
to here.
Right.
So you've got that whole, you know,
Right, and everybody's
parameter.
at a different level.
Yeah.
And
but I
but the
think we
guest,
can
if you had a guest at this level and then that same guest at this level, they're not going to be able to tell.
No.
That's the thing.
It's whatever your budget is.
Yeah.
And once we know that budget, we can tell you, okay,
Do the best with
well,
what you have.
we love that, you know,
Yeah.
$300 arrangement. However, within your budget,
We
it
could
might
do
have to
this.
be this.
Yeah.
We might have to utilize more of the fruit instead of the flowers or come up with a different idea. And I think that's where a planner comes in handy doing
See,
that.
and I chose not to add extra stress.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was what it was. I chose not to add the additional stress of, no, I can't afford
additional
this.
debt.
I can't afford
Right.
this. I
And the
can't
Well,
afford
but
that.
there are
Parents, you
nice
know?
things out there. There
There's
are nice
absolutely nice
alternatives
things.
out there.
Inexpensive.
So if you want some big, huge corporate hotel and you've always set your mind on that and that's
Yeah.
what you want and it's way out of your budget, there are other privately owned facilities,
Yeah.
those kinds of things where you can get immaculate ballroom space, but you don't pay that $10,000 price
There are
tag.
privately owned facilities that, you know, should be willing to, and a lot of them can be willing to work with you on, you know, weekdays, I had mentioned, as well as a Friday or a Sunday. I know the facility that I work at, Glendale Manor, they are very willing to work with you, especially if, you know, say you're 3 months out, you know, and you've been stressing all this time about a budget, and you just finally go, okay, you know what, I'm going to make that call and just see what they can do for me. Well, it's kind of unlikely that we book a wedding in 3 months. We can do it. We can do it very well. But it also gives us a little bit of flexibility to work with that budget bride and make things kind of come to fruition for her on her budget, which relieves all that stress. Because we shouldn't be penalized because we're on a budget. And it's not really the bride's budget. It's her parents. So you don't want to make them feel bad.
Right.
But
They also need to be flexible too.
Right.
You can't come in and say, oh, I want May 30th, that's a Saturday night,
Right,
a
a
prime
premium
Saturday night in
7
wedding
p.m.
season, and not be flexible with that, because then you are tying your facility's hands.
Right.
They can't do anything for you at that point.
So you're right. The client needs to be
But in
flexible.
February they could, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yes, off
In
season,
February they
Jalen, great
could.
point. You know, you could come in an off season. I know this year alone we've had a December wedding. We're having a New Year's Eve wedding, which is phenomenal. What a neat thing to do. It's an off season for a facility typically where
Which
we're at in the
you can
South.
possibly get discounts and
Yeah.
that kind of thing by doing an off
Discounts,
season.
and most of the time facilities already are heavily decorated.
That's right.
For that
So
time,
you really don't
so
have
you're
to
taking
add a
advantage
lot.
of all of those decorations. And also to be realistic about your menu.
Yeah.
Don't go in with a small
Filet
budget
and
wanting
lobster.
a 2 entree plated meal.
Or a
You
premium
know,
bar.
or a premium bar. Your options are scale down, do active stations, or a buffet, or
Beer and
instead
wine.
of beer and wine, instead of premium bar.
Because
or-
you're still having alcohol and
Absolutely.
it's not a party, it's a celebration. So
Right.
it's, you know, it's okay to just have beer and wine.
Right, or doing like what you said, choosing an afternoon. Then you can
Right.
maybe serve brunch.
Yes.
Have a
Which is
dessert
little
reception
cheaper,
if
yeah.
you want to do a Friday night instead of having a full menu. Those kinds of things can still be really cool because people haven't seen them, you know, and unique to your event.
Yeah.
But keep the cost way down, and no one knows but you.
And you're a
You
guest.
know?
And your guests kind of think you're just getting crafty
Right.
and creative, you know,
Right.
and not doing the norm, if you will.
Right.
And all the while, you're kind of trying to, you know, work around a budget, but only the facility and your planner, you know, really know that. So it's kind of a cool way to make it your own day without being so, you know, budget restricted, I guess. But yeah, I would say definitely look for the off season. You know, stay away from the primetime days. You know, the
May,
Saturdays,
June, July,
August,
September, and
October. You know, the Saturday evenings, I mean, those, of course, naturally, they are prime time.
And most holiday weekends are prime.
Right.
But
Yeah, they are.
but not even during the week. I mean, a Friday and a Sunday.
Friday and a Sunday, they're, you know, a lot
Still
of
part of
places
the
are giving
weekend.
discounts on that.
Still part of the weekend. It's just not your prime Saturday.
And
And maybe-
especially December, January, and February.
Right. And maybe even looking at a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
But the holiday is on Monday. So you can still have your Sunday event for a lot less
not have to worry about
and not
travel.
worry about the traveling for your
Everyone's
guests.
off for the holidays.
Right. Right.
And you end up making a really nice weekend of it. So there's ways around it, I guess, is the message. There's ways around it. You shouldn't feel, you know, punished or penalized because you've got a little tighter budget than the
Platinum bride.
platinum bride.
Let me tell you, 80% of our brides have a very constricted
Reasonable.
budget.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's, you know, too high or too low or whatever, it's just constricted.
Yeah.
And they have to stay within this budget, and that's
Right.
very important.
Yeah.
So they're wanting to make sure that, you know, all that's taken care of
Yeah.
for them.
So there's ways around it, you know. There's definitely ways around it.
Glenville vendors are like the best.